For me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
Boy. Good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's finally freaking Friday, and man, it is a great day because I got that electric panel squared away yesterday and changed. Her house is nice and cool and everything. I feel good about everything I got accomplished this week. In fact, I even lost some weight. I'm closing in to being under 260, and I'm going to keep on working on that because I want to be here for a long, long time. That's right, Commanders, Eagles, and 49er fans. I want to be here annoying you mother humpers. So I have a goal. I'm going to live forever so I can constantly keep coming back at you guys. So we're in the silly season here, but we're getting closer and closer. June is almost in the books. Hard to believe that 4th of July is only a week away, and Buc-ee's will be opening up on Monday. I'm going to try and get there, but I'm actually pointing out if anybody has a helicopter and they want to fly me in because they say it's going to be that crowded, please, by all means, help a brother out. Fly me in there so that way I can get in there. I won't need to take any provisions because they'll have everything that I can ever eat, or drink or whatever at Buc-ee's. So shout out to Buc-ee's, who's not sponsoring this. But if you would like to sponsor the Jobu Sports Report, let me know. So here we are. We have, of course, the Cowboys to-do list. That's right. I'm wearing a shirt my beautiful bride made me. Okay. You see the checklist. The last thing on the checklist is pay Micah Parsons. And per Adam Schefter, now throw some salt. Actually, throw some salt over the shoulder when you hear from, I'm salty. Adam Schefter reports, but he's reporting that the contracts basically are pretty much done. It's just a matter of actually signing it, and the Cowboys will milk that puppy for as long as it can go. And you have to think that Micah Parsons is not acting like somebody who doesn't think that they're going to get paid. He's got his house, Airbnb already set up for his family to be at training camp in Oxnard. And, I guess he's getting ready to fly to Turkey to get his George Jefferson. Actually, you know what? I might be getting a little bit of a George Jefferson here. So don't feel bad, Micah. Don't feel bad. No, seriously. And, my hair's wet because it's sweaty. Because I went for another 2-mile walk with my wife this morning before it got hot. Got to take care of the ticker and get this blood pressure down. But Micah Parsons doesn't act like somebody who is worried about getting his contract and his money. So that's good news for all of us. Now, interesting piece here. Interesting. That's right. And I know that annoys some of you guys. Is the Dak Prescott get together with all of the players and things. If you saw the pictures. You saw the pictures of Dak yesterday. I thought that maybe, let me back this up until the camera loads up. I thought Dak Prescott, I was like, is that AI? Is that one of those AI slops? Because it just looked unreal how there is like fat is has no chance in hell in that body. He looks insane. And we've got Ceedee Lamb, and you can see Ceedee Lamb is looking like, ape shall not kill ape. Look at the physique on him. Does he look like he's ready? We got our guys that seemingly are ready to rock and roll, dudes. Ready to literally rock and roll. And I couldn't be more excited about it. Now, here's the problem. For Ceedee has had a little bit of vandalism. Somebody's broken into or broke a window in one of his vehicles. We don't know which vehicle it is. We can take a peek right here. He posted on Instagram. So to whoever did this, I hope it was worth it, my boys. So, yeah, they smashed the window on the side of his car. At least it's not the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini, it's ridiculous. And see, unfortunately, when you have money, you know what I mean? And, people will hate you. People will, break your shit up and everything else. And so when you're in the public eye, that's one of those things that you kind of have to expect that's going to happen and things. So hopefully they find out who did it and they make reparations on getting that squared away. Now, here is, again, I'm just kind of going through. There's not really a whole lot that's going on here, guys, so bear with us. But here's an interesting one. Another interesting. Yeah, we got all kinds of stuff that's interesting in this dead zone. We have Philip Mustafa. I can't pronounce his last name. You know I'm messing things up. But he's taking the place of Zeke. Zeke's replacement. You remember how it used to be great when we would have all of the Zeke workout videos? Let's check it out. Oh, man, here we go. Got guns look like they from Afghanistan. Get money ain't that hard. All you need is a plan. Let me turn the music off because I don't want to get copywritten. I wish they didn't have the music on it, but it was again. You know how the Zeke ones go. Yeah. So we got Zeke replacement videos. You gotta love that. You gotta love it. Okay. All right. So here's where I touched on this a little bit last night on my fireside chat. It's funny because when I did the Dan Saleo show, Dan Saleo basically, saying, well, what do you expect from the Cowboys? And if Dak doesn't get to the NFC Championship game, then they got to move on from him. They got to move on from him. And if I've heard, it seems like every year they've got to move on from Dak. Every year, from when before Mike McCarthy and Jason Garrett. This is a proven year for Dak and Jason Garrett. But it seems like Dak keeps surviving. But I'm sitting here listening because we had Colin Coward who, when the Cowboys first hired Brian Schottenheimer, he laid into the Cowboys and basically said, you're done. And he reiterated this and doubled down again and basically said that, Mike McCarthy, that Brian Schottenheimer, he's going to be one and done. And I keep seeing all these publications that, it's NFC Championship. But we've got people who are saying that our coaching staff stinks, our offensive line's not good, our running game is one of the worst ones. And keep in mind, we were 30th in, running last year, and we were, 27th in total defense. So you had a team that was literally rock bottom last year. We scored 6 rushing TDs last year as a team. Half of the NFL running backs scored that many touchdowns on their own. We were putrid. So how is it now it's NFC Championship or bust? How come I don't hear that about Jacksonville with their new coach with Duval, who's got Trevor Lawrence, who was the number 1 pick in the draft? You're talking about a guy who was the 4th round draft pick, an afterthought. What, the 6th quarterback drafted? That he has to go. There was no expectations for Dak Prescott to be in the league for 10 years. They had more for Jacoby Brissett, for Paxton Lynch, than what they had for Dak Prescott. But yet this guy is still here 10 years later. But we've got these, unachievable matrix up here. If you literally say the coach sucks and is going to be one and done, how are you putting it all on the quarterback? When you have the running game that you had last year with only 6 rushing TDs, Saquon doubled the production of what your lead running back had last year. Doubled. You had one of the worst draft picks on the offensive line at tackle who couldn't stay on the field. So I'm sitting here. How is it these expectations are all of a sudden change to that? But they're not for Jacksonville. They're not for Chicago. I don't hear those coaches are going to be one and done. It's not for, the Jets, who have been a disappointment since Joe Namath. It's kind of crazy. But shout out to Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn, defensive coach for the Commanders with the left hand up, former head coach with the Chargers and things, and knows Brian Schottenheimer rather well. DLLS Sports interviewed him yesterday, and he had some great things to say about Schottenheimer that should make you feel better. And let me say to Holly Pierce, shout out to Holly Pierce, who's making her way onto the call-in shows. Love talking with Holly. She shared this clip with me yesterday evening. I would have done something with this sooner. I know it's kind of old news now, but, I got my day job I had to deal with, and I had to get my mother-in-law's electricity squared away. But check this out.
Big-time friend of the show.
That's right.
Anthony Lynn, who is the run game coordinator and running backs coach of the Washington Commanders. So technically the enemy, but so far I would say a very kind man and one that we can pull for to do great in every non-Cowboy game.
That's right.
Now, Clarence, you said you have 100
Clarence, you got
questions.
100
Now who are you
questions.
texting?
Goodness, just going down the list. You coach with Shanahan, you coach with McVay. Certainly you with Quinn now. I think you go back to one of those twins. I can't even think.
Orion?
Ryan, right?
Who?
Rex
Ryan.
Rex Ryan. I mean,
So one of those twins.
the twins are like feet.
Speaking of feet.
My mind, you don't get old. My mind goes blank. I just had Rex. I told him about Rex Ryan, and I texted him this morning. But obviously, Bill Parcells. You came here with Parcells.
Yeah.
Just talk about what you learned from Parcells, and just the culture. You talk about culture and how he changed the culture in Dallas, and really set them on a winning path. Although we still haven't gotten over the hump. I don't know whose fault it is.
It's your fault.
Maybe
They have not.
Two people been here the whole time we haven't won Super Bowls. Jerry
Jones
you.
and Clarence Hill.
From 5-11 to getting winning the playoff game and getting over the hump, or getting to the playoffs, getting over the hump. It was Parcells who set the foundation. Just talk about Parcells.
And Coach Parcells is one of the smartest coaches I've ever been around. There's always he always talked about a different way to win every week. You may go out this week and win this way. The next week you may win that way. I remember we was playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and he came in and he watched the tape, and he says he had just told us to shorten the playbook. Sean Payton and I worked at that time. I worked closely with Sean Payton, who was the play caller, and so Sean is like, we're already thin, so we're going through there. We're trying to cut plays here and there, and the very next week he comes out and he goes, we're playing Kansas City. We got to score at least 35. Throw the whole kitchen sink at them. So we doubled the playbook the very next week, but he was sharp like that. He knew what to do, when to do it, and I learned so much of strategy wise from him of how to prepare game plan wise and how to win each and every week.
He always talked about it. He just listened to his press conference, learned about football, but you learned about life, how you treat players differently and things like this. Talk about all the lessons that you learn from Parcells on a daily basis.
Well, he wanted to always be the good cop. Players loved him. Players loved him. I can't say the same for coaches.
Yeah.
Players loved him, and he would go out. He would go out on the practice field, and if I was getting in Julius Jones' tail one day, and he put his arm around Julius and walked him back to the huddle and looked over and said something smart to me. Julius looked at him. He was kind of liked it, Coach was standing up for him, but he played that game, that psychology game, all the time. Julius runs for 250 against Carolina, and then he comes in my office and tells me the two things we did wrong. It's like the 250. But he was football wise, he was the ultimate mastermind that I've ever been around. The guy he's a winner.
Yeah, I keep bringing examples back to Brian Schottenheimer too, because he's a coach that's been waiting for his chance to be a head coach, has learned from a lot of different guys. And you kind of mentioned Parcells, things he learned. You've been in a lot of places. How, in terms of your coaching path and your coaching kind of identity, how many lessons have you kind of learned from Parcells that you've applied? How many things have you taken from other people? What are kind of your inspirations?
Well, going back to Brian is one of my better friends in the league. Okay,
Here you go
back to New York Jet days. Spending time at his house, dinners with his dad, his mom, and he comes from a great family. I don't use the word great too often. I think people use it all the time, but great to me is something that comes around every once in a while, not every damn day. Mm-hmm. Well, that man comes from a great family.
Family.
He was born to be a head coach, raised by the mother that he had and the father, and he was really hot at one time, and then he got a little cold. But I was so happy to see him get his opportunity, because the people are going to be. I'm not going to be surprised, but I think he's going to turn some heads. He is a natural head coach. I remember sitting in the meeting room in an install one day, and I looked over at LaDainian Thompson, and I said, "I play for him," and he's that type of guy, man. So
See, that's what
you guys got
and we're beginning to see a lot of
really
that.
good one, a really good one.
I remember when all this stuff was going down, I said, Anthony, you coming here?
Yeah.
He didn't get back with me.
Well, once Brian interviewed, I said, it's a wrap.
Yeah, well, I thought you might be on the staff.
It's a wrap.
I thought you might be on the staff, though.
You know.
But he's good where he's at. He's
Yeah,
good.
he's busy. He's doing
definitely
okay.
good where he's at.
It's always a soft spot for the Cowboys because I grew up here in Dallas, but right now, they don't pay the bills.
Yeah. No.
They didn't pay the bills. Yeah, you got to love that.
Just talk about, number one, the culture, the Cowboys image, and the pressure on being a Cowboy, winning.
Well, let me tell you, just coming back here as a coach, that business card, that's the most powerful business card I've ever had. I mean, when you're a Cowboy, I mean, the culture that Mr. Jones has built here, it is unbelievable. And I know you guys talk about hadn't won this and that, need to make changes. I don't feel that way because I know at one of the toughest times in my life, I'm with the Cowboys in training camp, and I get hit by a damn car. The guy was 3 times the legal limit drunk, and they say I flew 55 feet in the air, landed on another car, totaled it. I shouldn't be here today. I should be dead. Yeah. But by the grace of God, I'm alive. And when I woke up from surgery, that man was in the hospital with me at 2:45 in the morning, holding my hand, and that's been my guy ever since. So he's a very caring owner, and he cares about his people, and he takes care of his people. But hiring Brian, I knew once Brian went into that interview with Jerry, it was a wrap. I knew that. That's his type of guy.
This stuff is so powerful that wherever I go next is going to seem like a really doesn't matter transition, but I'm still going to do it. As a guy who is a running backs coach, do you involve yourself in the draft and the scouting and all that stuff, or are you just like okay?
Absolutely.
So watching like the Cowboys every once in a while, because I'll watch tape of a couple hundred guys a year, give or take. Okay. And Jaden Blue was one of the guys that I really, really liked, and I hoped he would be a Cowboy.
That's your kid from Texas, right?
Yes. Yeah. The speedster from Texas. And they took him in the 5th round. And one of his big knocks was early in the year he had a fumbling problem at Texas. So as a running back coach, when you see something like that, do you think in your mind, I got that, I can knock that out? Or is that this is something that could stay with a guy?
Okay, so early in his career last year, because he's really is his first year playing, he fumbled the ball, I think, 3 times. Okay, but prior to that, was he a fumbler? Did you go back and look at his high school history, look at his carries he had in high school? I think he's from up Houston area. No, he's not. He's not. Defenses are trained to attack the football, and sometimes you have to get used to that and make that transition. And so you go into your fundamentals of how you carry the football. Some kids are taught that better than others, and some kids it takes longer. But I know when he came back after he fumbled at those 3 fumbles, did he fumble it again? Nope. So when we fail, okay, let's not beat us up for failing. I think failing is part of the process of being a winner. You got to fail so you know what you're doing wrong so you can correct it and be successful in life. I think just ain't too many times when we fail, we get down on people. And that's just part of the process.
Running backs coach, run game coordinator with Washington. Number one, people want to know what type of offense you think Brian's going to run, or offense coordinator is going to be. And secondly, he's focused on improving the running game and making life easier for Dak. How important is that?
Well, he understands the importance of a run game. I mean, we went to 2 AFC championships back to back. I mean, should have went to the Super Bowl one of those years, but we did it with a rookie quarterback, with Mark Sanchez, freshman and sophomore year. So, we ran the ball extremely well. And when you can run the ball extremely well, that's nothing you can't do on a football field. It opens up everything. And Brian knows that. I mean, he understands ball control and the importance of running the football, especially in December and January. Run game travels.
And that's where we've had the problems. We can't run in December and January.
I don't know what the hell he's going to do. I ain't been with him in a long time. But I know he believes in running the football. I know that.
With Shotty too, you've talked about it, how he was a hot young candidate. Like he was kind of the Shanahan and McVay at one point. Like he's going to get that next spot. It's a matter of when. And then it cooled off, and it went a long time before he was able to get this opportunity. And this kind of came a little bit on the, a little bit of a surprise to people too. When that happens to individuals in general, but when it happens to a coach who kind of goes through that, hey, I'm close, and then I have to wait and learn and go to different routes before I can eventually get that head coaching spot. What do you think that could do to a coach like him? What do you think it do? You know him, what it could do specifically to him to get him ready for this kind of opportunity now that it finally came?
Well, I know him and I know his character. He's just going to be better because of it. Maybe he wasn't ready when he thought he was ready. Maybe he had to go through some other things to get to this point, and so that when he got this opportunity, he'd make the most of it. So that's how I feel about this situation. Mm-hmm. I think he would be better now than ever before.
Amen on that one.
Your son's obviously a up and coming, really smart defensive coordinator over at USC. I'm just kind of curious, how often do you guys talk ball especially in terms of modern offense versus modern defense? Are you guys helping each other?
As soon as I get back to the house, we're going to talk then. Yeah. He's at the house right now.
Oh, awesome.
So, I like talking ball with him. He does have a sharp mind, and he's always been good with numbers and formulas, and then he's in the college game. So he's kind of coaching me up on the difference in the hashes and what you can do, what you can't do. But we just like to put concepts on the board and just attack them and just see where we can be better, and I always look forward to those conversations and those meetings with him.
Real quick, I'd like to get to that. There's so much talk about Dak. And what's the outside view of that? What's your opinion? What do people outside the organization think of Dak Prescott as a quarterback?
Say he's terrible. It'd be great for going viral.
The neighborhood I moved in, Dak lived across the street. And so I've known Dak for a minute, and he is one of the, character-wise, he's one of the better young men that I think that's in the league. Right. I like a quarterback that we have too, Jaden Daniels, but Dak is he has high standards for himself, high standards for his teammates, and just look at his numbers. I mean, the numbers are not terrible, not bad. I mean, he's franchise numbers, franchise money. I mean, you have a good quarterback in Dak. So, that's the Cowboys' job to build those pieces around him and all that. But I like him.
One thing you told me during the season was how the Cowboys defended Daniels. Different than everybody else. Because you look at the numbers, the Cowboys had a lot of success.
Brought in Mariota to whoop our tail.
Don't be telling my secrets. Okay?
That's not a secret. We watched the tape too.
Yeah, they played well against him.
They played well against the Cowboys.
Well,
what was it about the Cowboys? You talking about the speed
I would
of the
say
defense?
one of the reasons they probably play well against us, they have a lot of speed in that front seven.
Yeah.
They're fast. Especially the one from Penn State. I know Mike. I've known Mike for a long time, but they're fast.
Yeah.
And so that helps.
All right, that's a great piece.
Whoa, fancy.
That is a great piece from Anthony Lynn. Shout out to Anthony Lynn, running backs coordinator for run game coordinator for the Commanders and things, giving some background on Schottenheimer. So the question is which one do we have? Do we have what, Colin Coward, the same guy who said that, Dak and Wentz, it's not even close, that Wentz blows Dak Prescott away and thinks that he will be one and done? Or is Anthony Lynn, a guy who knows him, correct? All right, we got our Cowboys to do checklist, and we'll see when we can check that sucker off. As always, I appreciate all of you great people for being here, supporting the channel, especially here during the dead zone that is getting ready for training camp. I'm Mark Holmes, and I got to get out of here.
Can't stand it anymore. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Doctor, you're one on the phone. Everything's going to be all right. Please.
Sister, please, I'll handle this.